Gambia's central prison Mile 2 has been hit by COVID-19. Retired Colonel Bandao has been sworn in as interim president of Mali. Tanzania recycles food and paper waste into charcoal briquettes. These and more coming your way on The World Today. This is Africa TV and many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante and now the news in detail. Now, the coronavirus pandemic has entered Gambia's Mile 2 Central Prison, a maximum security jail situated a few kilometers outside the capital, Banjul. More than 50 prisoners are reported to have been infected with the virus, according to The Point newspaper, a local daily. The government confirms 20 COVID-19 cases on Friday. Maria Macham has more details of that in this report.
The government confirmed Friday that at least 20 inmates at the state central prison have contracted the coronavirus after a local daily newspaper report said scores are infected with the virus, citing an anonymous source. According to The Point newspaper, more than 60 prisoners at the Mile 2 prison had coronavirus and that 22 have since recovered. Gambia's Minister of Information Ibrahim Asila told a weekly government briefing that it was true that some inmates had coronavirus. He said those affected have been isolated and are under treatment.
Well, it is true, because the Ministry of Health last week had an interview with one of the local radios, and they confirmed that reported incidents of cases at the state central prison. I think so far at the time when I got the information, it was about 20, but at different stages, which means that it is not the 20 that occurred at the same time. So those ones were isolated from the rest of the prison population, and they were receiving treatment.
According to The Point newspaper, most of reported COVID-19 cases are inmates who were recently booked at the prison. Africa TV could not reach the spokesperson of the prison department, Modlamin Cisse, on phone for more information. The Gambia currently has 3,552 coronavirus cases since the first case in March, including 110 people who died and 2,012 others who recovered. Reporting for Africa News, I am Mariama Cham.
The COVID-19 pandemic hits Gambia's Mile 2 central prisons. Now we move on because after massive pressure from the regional bloc for Mali to return to civilian rule following last month's coup, the junta has finally sworn in Bandao, a retired army colonel, as president. The National Committee for the Salvation of the People of Mali overthrew President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta last month following mass protests against his rule over corruption, economic mismanagement and growing insecurity. Julden Jai Suare tells us more in this report.
The junta in Mali has sworn in former Defense Minister Bandao as president 5 weeks after the ousting of Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. Bandao, who will head the transitional government for the next 18 months, was picked by the coup leader Colonel Assimi Goïta, who will serve as his vice president. Goïta was the head of an elite special forces fighting unit in the Malian army, responsible for warfare and anti-terrorism before creating and leading the National Committee for the Salvation of the People. According to the junta, elections will be held when the 1-year 6 months transition elapses. The sub-regional bloc ECOWAS imposed economic sanctions on Mali following the coup and insisted that it will maintain the measures unless Mali's ruling officers appointed a civilian leader. Addressing reporters during a ceremony marking 60 years of Malians' independence, Colonel Assimi Goïta said the recent nomination of a civilian as an interim president meant that the West African leaders must end their trade embargo. Bandao was once a close aide to Mali's ex-dictator Moussa Tarawale, who died earlier this month at the age of 83. During his time as minister, Mr. Ndao signed a defense deal with former colonial power France, whose troops had intervened a year earlier to fight Islamist rebels in 2014. For iAfrica News, I am Juldenjai Suare.
Former Defense Minister Bandao appointed as Mali's new interim leader after a coup last month, and we will move on from that report there and we come back home because National Assembly members debating on President Adama Barrow's State of Nations address, which was delivered last week, have raised concerns over issues of land conflicts. On Wednesday, lawmakers call on the government to address the land conflicts in local communities, which have in some cases led to the loss of lives. Details of that in this report by Ndesise.
On September 17th, President Adama Barrow said the conflict over land and natural resources project has been put on hold by the Food and Agriculture Organization. This project was meant to strengthen the legal framework for land and natural resources related conflict resolution and governance. It was designed as well to enhance mechanisms for conflict prevention in communities where land-related violence has occurred and to support peace-building efforts. Commenting on the Barrow's statement, the member for Woolly West, Sidia Jata, said the issue of land conflict is a problem in almost every constituency, especially in the Upper River region.
Land conflict is a big issue in this country. And almost every constituency, there is a problem, land problem. And we cannot just sit by and look at this, because this is conflict between people, communities who are living together.
Honorable Jada said land conflict should be addressed because it is bringing divisions among relatives.
In my constituency, there are situations where they have been there for almost 2-3 years, or more than that, almost going to 10 years. And these issues are not addressed. And this is affecting people who are living together, relatives. But it has jeopardized all that relationship. Friends have become enemies. Relatives have become enemies to each other because of that issue. And that is why government you must address this issue in a comprehensive and conclusive way, so that we can move ahead with development. Development can take place in rural areas as far as these situations are prevailing, and they are numerous.
Conflicts over land are common and becoming a major problem in the Gambia, in some cases resort to violent confrontations. The growing nature of land problems in communal areas does not, however, mean that conflicts over land are always economically motivated. For iAfrica TV, I am Ndesise.
And from the report there by Ndesise, next we head to South Sudan, because citizens in the country have expressed their concern over the depreciation of the local currency and rise in food commodity prices. Authorities have eased almost all COVID-19 restrictions, but that has not improved the economic challenges by the global pandemic. Long years of civil war and the impact of the coronavirus has depleted the country's reserves, according to the central bank. Here are more details of that in this report.
Almost all restrictions put in place due to the coronavirus, but the pandemic pulled oil prices down, the major export commodity for South Sudan. Now the country doesn't have enough foreign currency, yet businesses need to import goods and they need dollars. As a result, commodity prices are rising on a daily basis.
Businesses are opened, schools are opened, but there is no money. The value of our money is gone. The dollar is very expensive. Things are very expensive in the market. Yet there's no money. It's as if we are still in a lockdown. There is no money.
The government should have control over the market and prices. Everything is very expensive. When you ask why it's like that, people say it's because of the coronavirus. Prices are not reducing and we are suffering.
Just have a look at these newspapers. The price has gone up and many people are not buying. Money that used to buy 3 newspapers can now buy 1. Things are tough, and I don't see a better future soon.
Parts of the country that normally produce food are experiencing the worst flooding the country has ever witnessed. In the capital, Juba, some businesses are now closing their doors. The Central Bank of South Sudan says its reserves have been depleted due to long years of civil war and the pandemic. President Salva Kiir appointed a new finance minister and a new head of the country's revenue authority to try and find a solution for the ailing economy.
For the National Revenue Authority to be successful, there is a need for a corresponding success in the other institutions of government, whether it's the Ministry of Finance, whether it's the National Police Services, whether it's the Ministry of Interior, and so forth.
South Sudan's over-dependence on oil means other sources of revenue such as taxation are not properly developed. The country's revenue authority is only a year old and it is overwhelmed with demand to generate the required funds.
Long years of civil war and the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic affecting South Sudan's economy. And with that report, we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining update stories. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back, and you're watching the World Today News Bulletin on Africa TV. And now to the rest of the stories. Now, following Wednesday's protest of women dying in childbirth under the slogan Gambia Women Life Matter, National Assembly members took turns to address the issue on Thursday. The Minister of Health was also in Parliament to answer questions from lawmakers on the subject after a member requested his presence. Julden Jaiswari has more in this report.
Commenting on the issue, the National Assembly member for Jara East, Seni Toure, said there is need to reflect on how to upgrade the health sector. He said maternal mortality is a very serious issue and needs to be stemmed. The member for Banjul North, Usman Silla, agrees. He said it is the duty of every country to ensure that no woman dies during pregnancy or childbirth.
Every effort has to be made to ensure that maternal and child mortality is a thing of the past. Mothers deserve the attention that they require to go through their pregnancy and then end up in safe delivery with both the mother and the child being alive. That should be the quest of the government, the quest of the National Assembly, and the quest of those that are supposed to be rendering service, that are supposed to be attending women in both antenatal and postnatal conditions.
A representative of Ilyasa Dembo Kamara said nurses needs better training on handling and caring for pregnant women. But the NAM for Sani mentoring, Keba Jallo, is of the view that men are partially to blame. He said some men don't give their pregnant women nutritious food.
How many women will deliver that would need blood? Because during their pregnancy, they face malnutrition. So let us go over this and see, and start everything at home to make sure that when your wife is pregnant, you give her good food because she is feeding herself and feeding another child.
According to the latest global estimates from the United Nations, 295,000 women died in childbirth every year, or as a result of complications arising from pregnancy. This equates to about 810 women dying each day, roughly 1 every 2 minutes, according to the World Health Organization. The NAM for Serekunda said the future of society is put into jeopardy wherever there is a case of maternal mortality. Halifa Saleh said women need protection in order for the future generations to be protected. In response, Gambia's Minister of Health said maternal mortality is on the decline in the Gambia, despite the perception that it is on the increase.
It is important to emphasize that it is actually on the decline based on what had been happening in the previous years. The figures below corroborate these findings. In 2013, according to the Demographic Health Survey, there were 433 maternal deaths per 100,000 live births. Now, when you go to 2014, it was 208. 2015, 250 per 100,000 live births. 2016, 195. 2017, 236. 2018, 283 per 100,000 live births. 2019, 221 per 100,000 live births. And as we speak, based on the figures already gathered up to September this year, doing the calculations, it is 169 per 100,000 live births. So we can see the declining trend.
Dr. Ahmadulamin Samate said that maternal mortality is a complex issue which is caused by many factors. He said the main causes of maternal mortality in the Gambia is pregnancy-induced hypertension, bleeding, anemia, infection, malnutrition, among others. Comparing Gambia to other countries, Dr. Samate said Gambia is not doing so bad, but he was quick to add that when it comes to human life, everyone is important. Dr. Samate also agrees that attitudes of a few healthcare workers contribute to some maternal deaths sometimes. In an address to the nation last Thursday, President Adama Barrow said his government is working on better health care and is making efforts to reduce the number of babies and children dying a few days after birth or before their 5th birthday. He said his government has invested $32 million towards immunization services and that his government is also committed to reducing the high number of women dying during childbirth. For iAfrica News, I am Julden Jai-Suare.
And from the report they are filed in by Julden Jai-Suare, next we head to Tanzania because in an effort to preserve the environment, Tanzanians are transforming food and paper waste into charcoal briquettes. The new trade is being championed by women who lost their husbands, and it is helping them to generate income to upkeep their families. Tanzania has one of the highest deforestation rates in the world, but the newly developed charcoal business is expected to change the narratives. Here are more details of that in this report.
Where others see rubbish, Asha Yusuf sees valuable raw materials. She is part of the Staki Shari Widows, a group that converts food and paper waste into charcoal briquettes. The project supports both the environment and the lives of its 15 members. Asha joined whilst battling depression after she lost her husband 4 years ago. She says it's made her life more stable.
The fears I had before have reduced because now I come to work, do the job, I collect waste, and through working at the factory, my kids now can go back to school.
Tanzania has one of the highest deforestation rates in the world. It's estimated that almost 500,000 hectares of forest area are lost each year to agricultural expansion and demand for wood and charcoal as fuel. The Staki Shari Widows believe they can help tackle the problem by producing charcoal in an environmentally friendly way.
In the past, we just threw away the waste, but now what was rubbish is now valuable to us. We use the rubbish to make our charcoal, so to use waste is wealth.
The women say their charcoal briquettes can burn for 5 to 6 hours because they are more dense, offering a more intense form of energy than firewood. Cardboard and paper waste, food peelings that have been thrown away by families around here, are the valuable raw material that this group needs to transform their lives and conserve the environment. Now they say they intend to expand their operations so as to help transform more lives. African Medical Research Foundation, AMREF, sponsored this group and brought charcoal producing machines worth $6,500, which grind soot to form bars from the waste. Now they have a tractor and they can produce 500 kilograms of charcoal a day, worth $130 each day, and they intend to expand even further.
We intend to build a bigger facility that we can use as a dryer so that we can maintain production even when there is no sun or when it's raining.
The Staki Shari Widows Group says this is just the beginning. They want to motivate other widows to do the same, in the hope that they can change lives and the environment.
From the report there in Tanzania, we come back home. Now, the rejection of the draft constitution bill on Tuesday by members of the National Assembly does not go down well with opposition political parties who have been breaking silence on the matter. Speaking at a press conference on Thursday evening, Mai Ahmad Fati, the leader of the Gambia Moral Congress, accused President Barrow of being directly responsible for the rejection of the draft constitution. The GMC stance came a day after the opposition United Democratic Party had challenged the government on the $116 million invested in the process for the past 18 months. Ibrahim John has more in this report.
The bill to promulgate the new constitution could not achieve the two-thirds majority vote from the country's National Assembly, despite the vigorous campaign by activists across the country for the birth of a third republic. Mai Ahmad Fati, the Secretary General of Gambia Moral Congress, is among prominent figures who have decided to hold the sitting president responsible for the decision taken by the members of parliament. The bill got thrown out of the process towards a referendum after falling short by 11 votes after 31 members voted for and 23 voted against the draft constitution. The former Interior Minister claimed that those that voted against the bill did so to manifest allegiance to the presidency.
The NRP candidates would not have the audacity to vote against a bill that President Barrow sent to Parliament. Who is their candidate for 2021, according to Hamad Ba, the NRP leader, if they do not have the blessings of the leadership? It's simple logic. This assertion was derived from the public statements of NRP leader, including the one he made at Sare Bojo, URR. I was there. 2, 5 from NRP, 10 independent MPs, 8 previously dismissed by the UDP for anti-party activities, and according to the UDP spokesperson, for advancing the personal political agenda of President Barrow contrary to party principles. This was what the UDP spokesperson said. So their dismissal is very clear why.
The lawyer-cum-politician is of the view that their move might have been triggered by the fact that the draft constitution conferred power to the people rather than on the president. He also defended the retirement package of judges in the draft, which he described as a clear application of legal principles meant to quell bribery or corruption within the judiciary. The rejected draft constitution provided for the continuity of salary benefit to retired judges, a clause which was highly contested at the National Assembly as a discrimination among the civil service. Mai Ahmad Fati, who once single-handedly sacked Halifa Sallah as spokesperson of the 2016 coalition, has this to say about the PDOIS leader.
Go and ask Honorable Halifa Sallah why he campaigned for Barrow, because he campaigned for him. The same reason Halifa campaigned for him, the same reason I also campaigned for him. So if Halifa is guilty, I'm also guilty. If I'm guilty, Halifa is guilty. But you cannot say Halifa campaigned for him. He's not guilty. My party campaigned for him. They are guilty. I'm not into that.
Maifati told journalists that he knew Barrow to be a man of integrity and an honest person, but that seemed to vanish into thin air now. The former Interior Minister indicated that he supported Barrow during the coalition primaries, which eventually brought an end to the 22 years rule under exiled former President Yahya Jammeh. The most popular concern now is probably the cause for this U-turn by the same lawmakers who gave their blessings to the creation of the Constitutional Review Commission and the $116 million budget for the entire activities of the commission. Ibrahim John for iAfrica News.
The leader of the Gambia Moral Congress there blaming President Barrow for the rejection of the 2020 draft constitution bill. Now, finally, a Nigerian fitness coach, Wed Low's journey has inspired many other young and old Nigerians to fight obesity. The female fitness coach started to build weight at a young age, but later became an inspiration to others by losing her weight. Experts say many people in Africa have developed new ways of life, leading to many becoming obese in the process. Here's more details of that in this report.
Burning up calories with some workout routines. That has become the new lifestyle for Nigerian fitness coach Nwanneka Nweze. The 29-year-old began a personal weight loss journey about a year ago. At the time, she weighed 125 kilograms. She was determined to get back her self-esteem and maintain a healthy lifestyle. And she has lost over 38 kilograms since she began her weight loss journey. And now Nwanneka helps several others with similar struggles.
There's a picture I took about myself. In that picture, I was literally very big. And I was so ashamed to put out the picture because everywhere was just enlarged. And I asked myself, what the hell is happening? I'm so young. At that age, I was 29 and I was so big. I asked myself, I don't need to continue being this obese and everything. So that was when I decided to take up the journey. I have classes both online and offline. So you have to prepare people mentally first for weight loss before they can start.
There are a growing number of overweight adults in Nigeria and across sub-Saharan Africa. That's according to health tech company Well-New-Me. In its recent report, many people in sub-Saharan Africa are adopting a lifestyle more commonly found in the Western world, eating excessive amounts of high-calorie foods and spending more time sitting down.
Quite a worrying trend because we are now seeing that there are large sections of the female population in Nigeria that are putting on more weight than they should. Obesity in itself is a health problem, but also increases your risk of developing things like cancer, things like hypertension, things like diabetes itself.
Recently, a lot of people in this part of the world, Africa, have adopted the style of eating processed food and, having the habit of not exercising. So eating late can contribute to one being obese, eating fatty food and junks, and eating too much. Too much of everything is bad.
According to the World Health Organization, about 26% of Nigerian adults are either obese or overweight. Many say that maintaining a balanced, healthy diet can be a costly venture, especially for the 82 million people that live below the poverty line. But medical experts warn that managing health risks associated with obesity and being overweight comes at a much higher cost.
And that report there from Nigeria finally brings this news bulletin to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, you can log on to our website on africa.org.
xettali ma rek nijaay nga jëndal ma kaas pawa balaa yére yi di wow dama paase.
fii amoo fi benn xaalis laa amut waaw may ma tuuti waaw Mamadou waaw ma ne dimbale ñu rek nga yónnee ñu kaas pawa léegi suñ kaas pawa moo jeex depuis démb ok baax na.
waaye yow nijaay jaaxle naa de yow Mamadou naka lam ñoo jëndalee kaas pawa te fekk mu ngi bitim réew nijaay.
xanaa xamuloo ne ak balu waaye mën a nekk ci bitim réew mun naa yónnee njabootam kaas pawa ni ngay def yomb na da ngay log on to www.baluwo.com nga jëndee courant ci compagnie yi nga xam ne ñoo saytu wàllu courant ci dëkk yu mel ni Gambia Sénégal Mali Nigeria ak Sierra Leone.
Star GSM felay promotion bana fina molye minul be mararing tanko bundala Gambia banko kanjang minu buko policeol armed forceol immigration customs ani lanjurtol datalar bala keta smartphone la minka sannu wini woro la sang wini woro doma isa soto minka sannu wini woro sang wini lu minka sannu wini lu sang wini nani manda smartphone doma simple phone fanan minul ka sannu kemelu la sang kemenani talulu milbe kemenani talulu sang keme sabatalulu ning original techno simple phone minu ka sannu keme konontola sang keme woro la isa soto mobile ambulance odum keme woro domma Star GSM e tableto soto le pro dinningol wuli kilin keme sey domma isa soto nyin tabletol minu ka sim card uta wili fula keme saba isa soto HD universal remote fanam bijele flat screenol min yalon ko la receiver be konole 432 lombang wala 43 inches isi soto no $4,999 wala $8,999 Star GSM manda wodom mala nganying original face mask sol sotole min sal tanka coronavirus sotola nga air freshenal fanan sotole pour alla sabati dinkiral aning official nyim bala muran tulol fanan bijele nyim flash kopol ka bonali America alse muna fangala la official do wara alla sabati dinkiral pour jikando wala jisuma anda se sambano tilo mume nganying designer spray fanan sotaliere min zero ka tarafengo bala fo montoro wati monni nani andi botanam France le anin Dubai isinan jibe no na bumbato min fele kombosila drive serekunda OJ Johnson nyati lingol wala nanyun kunkilim bitikol min fele talindi marseto anin tabo koto traffic light auto isen kumandino 700-2494 wala 990-1122 Star GSM mfanankan kato dango kele puru mimbe banko sambala nyato Star GSM
Lu bari wusi coronavirus lu lawla jangoro bi aka deger bopa ngala jox ma sa nopa corona can be transferred to another if a person sneezes that doesn't mean the person has it neysa
Alaikum salam.
Nenda. Sen fan bi ñaata la?
Abi.
Comme yele la.
Sorry, soxna si balal ma.
Balal
ma. Jekka bala ngay def.
nga gele nañu xé corona
Lo gis?
Mu ngi
ma yow no yow de yow yàlla rek la fay yow foo amee lii man dama am ay bérébu liggéeykaay yu bare te dama bëgg a saytu suma liggéeykat yi seen wér gu yaram
dëgg la
te lii dama ko war a am ut naa ko fu nekk mënuma koo am
gis nga lii nag am ko yóbbu na de mu ngi fi
lii foo ko amee yow
gis nga bu fekkee da nga koo soxla
waaw
dawal Kairaba Avenue boo jógee West mel ni kuy dem Kairaba bi
waaw
booy romb Alliance Franco rek
waaw
romb AIC
waaw
building bi ci topp
waaw
ñu koy wax smartphone house
waaw
boo fa duggee rek loo ci soxla ñu jaay la ko
yow man foofu dinaa ci mën a am lu bari lu tolloog fukka
loo ci soxla ñu jaay la ko te ni nga ko bëggee noonu lañ koy defee
gis nga yow da nga muus gis nga lii waxuma la man rek waaye ku nekk daf ko war a ut
maa la wax loolu
lii jaaduwul rek ci place yi dafa jaadu ci kër yi jaadu ci béréb liggéeykaay compagnie yu mag yi
te boo ko amee nag te set préjo sa xel dafay dal
wax dëgg yàlla
bari
na ñuy dox foog na ñu ngi feebar te ragal a dem l'hôpital
maa la wax lii de
jërëjëf yow dama la yàgg a bëgg waaye tey la rawati nag
boo paree dem fa ñu jaay la ko boo àggee rek ñu dul la ko
kaas pawa bi jeex na depuis démba xettali ma rek nijaay nga jëndal ma kaas pawa balaa yére yi di wow dama paase
fii amoo fi benn xaalis laa amut waaw may ma tuuti waaw Mamadou waa ma ne dimbale ñu rek nga yónnee ñu cash power léegi suñ cash power moo jeex depuis démb ok baax na.
waaye yow nijaay jaaxle naa de yow Mamadou naka lam ñoo jëndalee cash power te fekk mu ngi bitim réew nijaay.
xanaa xamuloo ne ak balu waaye mën a nekk ci bitim réew mun naa yónnee njabootam cash power ni ngay def yomb na da ngay log on to www.baluwo.com nga jëndee courant ci compagnie yi nga xam ne ñoo saytu wàllu courant ci dëkk yu mel ni Gambia Sénégal Mali Nigeria ak Sierra Leone